Hi there. So the conflict between Congo and Rwanda, because we keep saying that it is between Congo and the M23, and we know the M23 are the proxy army of the Rwandan government, and more than half of the fighters in M23 are Rwandan soldiers. So it is the conflict between Congo and Rwanda. So that conflict keeps getting better and better every day, and the truth keeps coming out, and keep knowing what is going on. So the latest news is that Qatar seeks to break Congo and Kigali's talks impasse again. And the story goes that Qatar, the country that just hosted the World Cup, is still trying to convene a meeting between Rwandan President Paul Kagame and the Democratic Republic of Congo's President Felix Tshisekedi to bring rapprochement amid escalating tensions. Attempts to host peace talks between Rwanda and Congo by Qatar failed in January due to a no-show by Tshisekedi. In other words, the president of Congo never turned up. He refused to go there. So basically, something that you should pick from the story is that at that time in January, Rwanda kept denying involvement in Congo. They kept denying it. So now the question is, then why did they agree to go to Qatar to meet the president of Congo to discuss ending the conflict? In other words, it's like maybe I say one of my viewers has an issue with me. You have a beef with me. You have a problem with me. But then you deny, you say, no, you don't have a problem with me because you have never even met me. But then a third viewer says, okay, how about this? You two guys meet and talk about that problem between the two of you. And the guy who is denying it is quick to say, yeah, we should meet and iron out our problems. So then you wonder, why were you saying or denying that you didn't have a problem with me? But when someone suggested that we meet and, iron out and find common ground, you are quick to say, yeah, we should do it. Why should you do something that is not there according to you? So that is the same case here. Rwanda says they are not involved in Congo. They have nothing to do with the conflict. But when a third party says, you two guys should meet and find a common ground, and Rwanda is quick to say, yeah, you should. Why are you admitting to meet? So anyway, back to the story. I think the only reason why Felix Tshisekedi refused to go to Qatar to meet was because the current president of Congo doesn't like being fooled. He doesn't like being made a fool. And Congo has come a long way from the days of Joseph Kabila, because if it was Joseph Kabila, he would have gone to Qatar. But here we are dealing with Felix Tshisekedi. And I think Paul Kagame is still stuck in the past, in the days of Joseph Kabila, when him and Museveni would order that president around, and Joseph Kabila would give in and say, yeah, we should do it, tufanye hivyo ndugu zetu. But this is a different person. And the other reason, you need to ask yourself, Congo doesn't have any bilateral agreement with Qatar. They don't have any relationship between them and Qatar. But Rwanda has a relationship with Qatar because, Paul Kagame has cultivated relationship between Rwanda and Qatar in recent times. He started going to Qatar back in November 2018. He later went there again in December 2019. The following year, during the lockdown in October 2020, he went there again. In October 2021, again, he went to Qatar. And February 2022, he went to Doha, Qatar. It is during those trips that also the leader of Qatar, the Emir, came to Rwanda. I think in 2021, he came to Rwanda and said that Qatar was buying 60% stake in the Bugesera International Airport, or they were putting money in the development of the Bugesera International Airport, because that is the project that Rwanda hopes will make that country the air travel hub in Africa, or in other words, a hub for air transport on the African continent. And it's still the same time that Felix Tshisekedi had become president of Congo, and he agreed to also allow Rwanda Air to fly to Congo. So they were flying to Kinshasa and other destinations in Congo, Goma. They were going to Bukavu in different airports in Congo. But of course, today they no longer go to Congo because of the tension. And now Qatar has invested in Rwanda in the airport. I hear also they have bought, or they want to buy, Rwanda Air. The same Rwanda Air whose cargo planes, are used to take stolen tantalite minerals, stolen Congolese minerals from Rwanda to the UK. Yeah, we know that there have been a UN report that says Rwanda Air uses their cargo plane to smuggle those minerals out of Rwanda. But back to the story is that the relationship between Qatar and Rwanda is known. It's there. But the relationship between Congo and Qatar doesn't exist. So why would Congo go to a stranger's house to discuss about a serious issue like an invasion from a neighboring country? The other question is, why is Rwanda keen on meeting Congo in Qatar to discuss about the conflict when Rwanda has denied that they do not have any involvement with that conflict? So then why are they, going to meet in Qatar to, discuss with Congo about this conflict? I thought it was supposed to be M23 leaders and Congo going to Qatar, not Rwanda. So why Rwanda? The other thing is, Paul Kagame is a liar. He's someone who basically sees other people as fools, even though I don't know his level of intelligence, though he never went to school. I know that for a fact. He never went past high school. But he tries to portray himself as a very intelligent person. He sees other people as are not very smart, because he's trying to undermine regional efforts to find peace in Congo, because the East African community led by now the president of Kenya, the former president Uhuru Kenyatta, have been working on a strategic roadmap to find common ground between the M23 leaders and Congo. Then there's also the other summit that usually takes place in Angola, led by the Angolan president, Lourenço. So Paul Kagame has tried to undermine those efforts from the East African community and from now the Angolan government and the Friends of Congo. He's trying to undermine those because those two summits meet to discuss how to find solution for this conflict, which Rwanda keeps denying. But then Rwanda now goes back and tries to create another summit in Qatar, in one of the countries that they have been going to and trying to find investors. So that's why Congo refused. Now, in the next part, I want to play you a clip where the Rwandan president was, again exposed of lying in front of journalists. Last week, he had this press conference with some journalists, mostly from Rwanda, and they were asking him questions about the conflict in Congo. And you're going to listen to how he lies, and I'm going to explain why I think he was lying for the 3 hours he was answering questions.
But in Congo, in Eastern Congo, there are over 120 armed groups, of which M23 is only one of them. Right? So the 120 armed groups, how were they formed? Certainly, I haven't even heard even those who hate Rwanda, who tell a lot of lies about Rwanda, have not accused Rwanda of having formed those 100 and plus armed groups. So at least even those who wish us or everything negative have not accused us of that. They're only accusing us of association with M23. So who formed the other 100 over armed groups and why? Who explains that? Why don't they talk about that or take care of that?
First thing, the president of Rwanda says that there are more than 120 rebel groups operating in Eastern Congo. And he goes ahead to say that we should stop being obsessed with M23. It's because he said we should also talk about the others. And we should also talk about how those others came to be. Now, maybe to answer him is that because he thinks everyone is a fool or we don't have memory, is that M23 is the only rebel group operating in Eastern Congo with a capability to shoot down gunship. They shot down helicopter Mi-24 Hind, a Hind gunship. These are an Mi-24 Hind gunship. So they shot it down using the IGRA, manpad, yeah. And it's a gunship, man. It's not just a simple helicopter. This is a helicopter that uses infrared and lasers to kind of to target you. But they shot it down not once, many times. You can go there and find. So it's a serious rebel group, more like an army from a neighboring country, which it is, because we know it's a Rwandan army operating in Congo. So that's why we talk about them, because they are very dangerous. They can shoot down a commercial airline and kill innocent civilians. We need to talk about them so that they can be asked to go back to Rwanda. Now, the other question he was trying to bring up is that we should talk about the other groups. Now, for example, one of the most famous group in Congo is made up of, it's called Mai Mai, which is basically community-based militia groups that are from Bantu communities. The Frero, the Wabembe. You can see these communities here, the Wabembe, the Frero people. A lot of Bantu communities have their own militias, and these militias came there or were formed as a result of to defend local communities and territory against other armed groups. And they were formed, most of them were formed to resist the invasion of Rwandan forces and Rwanda-affiliated Congolese rebel groups. In other words, these rebel groups were formed to fight Rwandan, because the Rwandans were the ones coming to Congo to invade them. So they were formed as a response to try to fight Rwandans. And in later years, some of them, like I'm going to look for, like the Nduma Defense of Congo. This one I know about them. They were formed in recent times in 2009 to defend minerals or mines from being looted by Rwandans. So it was formed in 2009 by a former mineral trader called Ntabo Sheker. And it is from a community called the Nyanga people. And this Mai group was formed to liberate the mines of Walikari territory in North Kivu. Now, these mines in the Walikari territory is where you find casterite and coltan, and that's why you find M23 operating and looting those minerals and sending them to Rwanda. So Paul Kagame should know that this Mai group here was formed to oppose him stealing Congolese minerals. And the other thing is that they were also trying to defend wildlife and killing Rwandan wildlife officers in Virunga National Park. This whole thing was actually somewhere in the news, and because the Rwandan wildlife officers were crossing the border into the Virunga National Park on the Congolese side and stealing, mountain gorillas and taking them back to Rwanda, where they have this gorilla viewing tourism kind of attraction. So these Mai were formed to try to also defend their own animals from, Rwandans who are stealing the gorillas. We usually see Rwanda showing the world that they have gorillas. Those gorillas were stolen from Congo. And you can see there's a group that was formed to try to defend their animals. And now here we have Paul Kagame telling us that he doesn't know how they were formed. Now, before 1996, according to this article, before 1996, before Rwanda and Uganda invaded Congo, there was never a rebel group that opposed the Congolese dictator Mobutu. It was just one army and it was peaceful. People didn't like Mobutu, but it was peaceful. It was quiet and peaceful. Then Paul Kagame and Uganda went in. They stole livestock. They raped women. They did a lot of things in that region. And communities that were affected, they formed their own militias and rebel groups to oppose the Ugandans and the Rwandans. So I think that answers what he was trying to say, because he lies, and I know a lot of you even believe him because you are too lazy to even Google and investigate for yourself. A lot of you are too lazy to do that, and that's why you keep coming to the comment section saying, no, you are impartial, you're not impartial, you are biased, you seem to hate Kagame, you seem to hate Rwanda. I don't hate Rwanda. I'm not the one who wrote this article. I don't work at Wikipedia. I don't approve articles. These are history. Even if you don't believe Wikipedia, there are so many sources that this content come from. If you go down here, you'll find all these links to Irish Times. It's a newspaper in Ireland. They're talking about them. You go to these links, you'll find all that. This is WWF, that is Wildlife Foundation. It's about the Virunga National Park and how the Mai Mai people were attacking Rwandan wildlife officers who were coming to steal Congolese gorillas and taking them to the other side of the mountain to Rwanda. So you can read all this. It's not, I don't make up stories. They're there, they're online. You can Google them. Don't be lazy.